Hello, welcome to the Snap UK Super Bowl preview.
Are we recording? Because that was awful. Just want to make that clear. That was dreadful.
I'm going to leave it in, so it seems like a real event. So let's start off with the news before we go into the big game. So, of course, let's start off with the sort of blockbuster trade of the weekend, and Matt Stafford has God, what a lucky guy. He's out of Detroit. He's
Do you want one of us to finish that sentence for you, John?
Yeah, he's gone to the Rams in exchange for Jared Goff and
two first-round picks and a third-rounder.
It's big. It's bigger than a lot of people have suggested, which leaves, of course, the question of who got the best deal out of this.
The Lions.
Well, let's start there. Like, you know,
Slide say, I think the Lions have pulled a blinder here.
I agree.
I don't. You know, Goff isn't Matt Stafford, and he's not going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know, because he's never going to win anything in Detroit. But you know, at the end of the day, they've swapped first picks. You know, they were both number one overall draft picks, weren't they? Goff and Stafford, and in return, they've got some. You know, they've got, was it first round for the next 2 years, 2022, 2023, and a third round this year.
Yep.
With a new coach. Okay, I think that's okay. Like, I know Goff's expensive, but they're about to go into full rebuild mode anyway. You know, they haven't got huge commitments anywhere for the next couple of years. I think Detroit have given themselves time to assess the whole situation over the next couple of years. The Rams wanted a quarterback. McVay clearly doesn't think anything is his fault, and it's all on the quarterback. He's shipped the quarterback. And we've seen they haven't drafted a number one pick, have they, since Jared Goff, the Rams, in 2016.
Yeah, and they won't.
They've traded every single one away. So clearly they don't want to, you know, they're in win now. We know that. You've got to use Donald whilst you've got him. And they think that running back and tight ends and these other positions that they can get by with third, fourth round picks. And they've got a chance as well. But I think in terms of the value, when you stack up who received what, me personally, I think the Lions have done a good job.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you totally. I think Matt Stafford is far too talented for that Detroit team that's been there for years. But I don't see he's the final piece. He's better than Goff, but he's not that final piece of the jigsaw they were missing. And I get that Goff hasn't been great, but that's a real stain on Goff's career now.
2 years ago, they gave Goff a 4-year deal worth $134 million. The only real thing that's changed in that 2 years for that offense is Todd Gurley going out. So I guess I can see this on both sides, right? I think you're right. Like, Detroit are going into full rebuild mode. They've got 2 first-round picks now, at least, for the next 2 years, as well as their first-round pick this year, and an extra third this year. This works if the Detroit hierarchy are prepared to give Dan Campbell and the new GM there at least 5 years in the job. And if they're willing for the next 2 years to be utter dross. Because I don't think Jared Goff is that good. And I kind of agree that he's an average quarterback. He's there. When you looked at him against Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFC West, I'd say they're about even. So Goff is there as a bridge quarterback. So the Lions either draft another one this year, which I don't think they will. I think it'll be a year too early. They draft one next year because I think they're going to have another losing record next year with Goff and not a lot else, because a lot of players are coming to the end of their contracts, and they could be quite expensive to re-sign. So the hierarchy there need to give Dan Campbell a lot of time. On the flip side, the Rams, I guess this comes down to the fact that it comes down to one question. Would the Rams have beat the Packers if Stafford was the quarterback instead of Goff?
No.
I don't know. Because Rodgers tore them apart. I think the Rams' defense was brilliant against Seattle the previous week. It was completely null and void against the Packers. So if you think Stafford can help you on defense as well as offense, fair enough. But obviously that's not going to happen. I think he is a massive upgrade over Goff. I think they got him on a good deal in terms of he's going to get 2 years, $43 million. Not a lot for a quarterback of that caliber. So I think from the money side, I think it works. I think the Rams were going into potential problems when it came to the cap, given the cap's going to go down next year. But I don't think this gets them over the hump. And I think that's the biggest worry. They are good at drafting the second and third round. They have picked up some players there, but they kind of really need to up the ante. I think it just the last 2 big contracts that the Rams have given out, Goff and Todd Gurley, they're both gone. And Gurley's cost them a lot of money to get rid of. So I think, yes, this looks good for the Rams, but I think if you peel back a few layers, I think there's questions to be asked about the front office there.
With Goff, he's only ever looked like a competent quarterback with Todd Gurley in his pomp. Does the Lions' decision to hire Anthony Lynn now seem even more smart, because that he has great history with running backs, and they have some decent ones in Detroit now that they've not utilized properly. Is he going to be key then to them being effectively avoiding where they are this season?
So the new GM at Detroit was the head of scouting at the Rams when they took Jared Goff. So he's obviously a Jared Goff fan. I don't think whether they've used his contract and the cost of his contract to get more picks.
Absolutely.
That's what they've done. They've traded that, haven't they? But
I'd say that. I'd say you got 1-1 and 1-3 was for Stafford, and the other one was for the contract.
Yeah, and I think in terms of Anthony Lynn, he was a running back. He likes to coach running backs. There are some talent there, but I think they're still just nowhere near enough at Detroit to expect them to do anything. I think they're going to assess Jared Goff for the 2 years. And you know what players are like when they need to earn a new contract. You might see a different side to Jared Goff when he's got to, play to get paid again. And I know he'll have a lot of money already, but if he wants to extend his career, he's going to have to prove himself, isn't he? So he's got 2 years. If you draft a rookie next year, happy days. I think it's a no-lose situation for the Lions.
So, because I've been quiet for long enough, does anybody here actually think Jared Goff isn't an NFL caliber quarterback? Because I think he utterly is if he's coached properly. And as soon as McVay lost confidence, Goff's confidence dropped as well. So I was asking myself, who would you rather have, Jared Goff or Carson Wentz? Wentz is the better athlete. He's the more prototype quarterback. But Goff has the better attitude if he's coached and everyone is confident with him. I am looking at this and wondering whether the Lions are thinking, we've still got picks. We can still do things.
Yeah.
We can move around. Goff might not be there very long. Look at what happened with Osweiler. That was the last massive contract that got traded like this, and he wasn't there very long. He was gone again. So there's no saying that the Lions quarterback is Jared Goff. They could move him on again. If someone comes along and says, we'll give you a couple of second-round picks for Goff, so you've got some picks back, and you can go and get quarterbacks and things and do whatever you want to do with your rebuild. You've paid some of the contract. We'll move him on. I take him at the Patriots. I think he's a very good, if coached properly, quarterback. And I actually think for a very rare occasion, both teams are winners here because the Lions are looking at the long game. They're assessing Goff. Is he going to be our quarterback or not? We can have the new head coach, give him plenty of time. We've moved on in the correct manner from a massive servant to the club. They haven't crapped on him by making him go to the Jets. They basically said to him, where do you want to go? And we'll do that for you. And that's all good.
And he said anywhere but the Patriots.
Yeah, he said anywhere but the Patriots. And you can't blame him because I think a lot of people are going to say I don't want to play for Belichick. Plus, the team is terrible. But we'll come
to It's not Belichick, is it? It's Patricia.
Also fair, but we'll come to that. The point is, I think they dealt with Stafford really well. He never kicked up, but it was apparent that they need a rebuild. Like Jim said, it's 5 years from now when the Lions are any good, and this is the right way of doing it. And the Rams, they're looking to win the Super Bowl next year. That's it. That's all they're interested in. And
Absolutely.
Matt Stafford for a 1 year upgrade is huge. He's probably worth 2 or 3. They don't lose the game that they lost to the Jets, for instance.
Yeah, definitely.
There's far less chance of them playing wild card weekend now they've got Matt Stafford. That's what it comes down to. So we're going to see if he's any good or not, because we thought he's good for years, but he's only had 3 winning seasons since 2009.
And never won a playoff match.
How long does McVay get with
Stafford? I think he's there. He's there for a long time.
Golden child for the Rams. I think he's not got not just a connection with Les Snead, but with Stan Kroenke as well. I think they think he's wonderful.
Let's not forget that they've had 4 consecutive winning seasons with Goff. 13 wins, 11, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
Like, they've been pretty good. You don't get those numbers if your quarterback is bad. So it's just a case of getting over the hump. He just lost confidence. You can see that the Jets game was where it died, because Goff threw 2 picks, and then did he not drop the ball as well at one point? And the Jets recovered it. And the Jets got their win of the season, and the Rams looked stupid. And that's where the confidence went. But I actually think if he's coached properly, he's a very good player.
I think you're starting to see this in certain coaches where they don't want a young quarterback to coach up. They want the finished articles. I think Kyle Shanahan is also one of those players. They had an opportunity to take a young quarterback back when Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson came out. They had the 2nd pick in the draft. Now, whatever scouting mishap there was, it happened. But those 2 quarterbacks still weren't massively. It wouldn't have been a massive shock if one of them had gone after Mitch Trubisky. And I think McVay is just like that. I don't think he wants to coach a young quarterback. I think he just wants the polished article there that can do just enough to execute his offense. Coming back to one of your points there, Griff, around kind of how Detroit have dealt with Stafford, I agree. I think that's probably been one of the best things that come out of Detroit, because we saw how they dealt with Megatron when he started throwing his toys out the pram, and we lost Megatron to the league, and they lost him. They didn't get any draft picks. End of the day, Stafford has made $219 million in Detroit. There's no more he can do. They're going into rebuild. They got a great deal for him, and they've got a bridge quarterback for the future. So like you say, see if he's any good. If he is, great. If he's not, they've got the draft capital now to move on and pick a really good quarterback over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I really think there's a real possibility that Goff isn't the starting quarterback there at the start of the season.
Yeah. I think he'll get a season.
Yeah, he probably will. But if somebody else came along and said, "Here's a couple of second rounders, we'll have him."
I think the GM wants him. I think the GM wants him.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I'm not fine with that. But imagine what you could get with 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders as well. You've done nothing but paid some money. Was it the Browns that did that for Austin?
Yeah.
They
got second round picks.
Some picks, which is a sneaky way around the system. And look what's happened. Look where the Browns have finally ended up. Like, that's what the Lions are looking at. Now that the Browns and Tampa have done what they've done, the Lions are now one of the worst franchises alongside the Jets in terms of longevity of just being a team. So they have to see this. But I think it's really exciting for both teams, because I am looking forward to watching Matt Stafford on a team with those receivers and that coaching. I think it's going to be excellent.
I mean, last week I think I mentioned we've never seen Matt Stafford playing with it's a decent defense, so he's just not on the pitch all the effing time. Now he's at the Rams, and that can be a superb defense. He's not starting each game now 7 points down.
No.
Yeah. And that is effectively what he's been doing now for years. So it's exciting times for, I say, potentially for everyone.
Yeah, I really think both teams are winners here. I think it's an excellent trade. Can we move on to Deshaun Watson so that I can get my bit in that I didn't have last week? That's what she said.
Yeah,
you kick off.
Go on.
So I think he is moving, and I don't think in hell they can trade him in the AFC. It has to be an NFC team. You cannot face the thought of facing him every year or every 3 years or whatever it's going to be in the AFC, because he is going to be brilliant wherever he goes. So then you're looking for which NFC teams can realistically come in, because Matt Stafford's trade has now set the market. So who's going to be giving up 3 picks plus and have a quarterback that they can get rid of in order to get Deshaun Watson? Now, the only one I can think of that I've heard mentioned in other places as well is the Cowboys sign Dak and then trade Dak across and say, here you go. For me, that's not worth it because Deshaun Watson's probably only worth 1 win upgrade for what you'd have to give away. But I don't know where else he could possibly end up. Because the Texans are bound to want a quarterback and
the Niners. He could make it to the Niners. I would, it is possible.
Got the draft capital?
We've got Jimmy, and I think we could probably give away. We haven't got early picks at the moment. We've got a mid-round pick, haven't we? Depends.
We've got 12.
12 this year. So
it's possible. I really think it'll be in NFC. I really think he's going.
There's been some mooted with him going to the Packers, which I don't really see because they've obviously got Rodgers and Jordan Love, so I don't really see that one.
That's not happening.
But the multiple team with Jimmy G going to the Patriots and the Patriots getting involved with picks going, different ways, I can see that one potentially if Belichick wants Jimmy G back.
Does he?
Do you think he does though? I don't think he does.
Do you know what they used to say about him, that he followed the playbook to the T. So he basically read the script and did what he was told, which is what they always said about Brady. Everything we've seen about Jimmy G since he left the Patriots would tell you that's not the case, like the porn star girlfriend and all of the other things. And then add on to that the fact that the main thing we've seen out of him is, whilst he can be very good and he did get to the Super Bowl, he's never on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the biggest problem. Don't forget, he got his opportunity to play with the Patriots when Brady was suspended, and he only played in the first game.
Yeah, because he got injured. So
Brissett played 2.5 games. I think he started the first 2, and then Brissett played
he was
the
injured
other
in
game.
the second one, yeah.
So he's never really played as a Patriot. So it'd be interesting to see if I think it's whether McDaniels thinks he can get enough out of him, not just Belichick. I think you've got to think the whole crew. And we've now got a complete reunification. Belichick, McDaniels didn't move, Patricia's back in the building. And it does make you wonder whether you'll see, a bit like we've seen in the past, players leave and then come back. Like a lot of linebackers have left the Patriots and ended up back there. And it may well happen that some players gravitate back there again. But whether Jimmy G is the answer, it's certainly not in the long term, but he might be our best option for this coming season because we haven't got anybody else. So,
I've been trying to really get my hopes up that the Niners. Well, sorry, trying to not get my hopes up that the Niners are going to get a quarterback because I just don't feel like it's the move that they're going to make. I feel like if you compare the Niners to the Rams giving up first-round picks left, right, and centre. Like it's not that they don't value their first-round picks. It's just that they see the value of using those first-round picks. Instead of buying a lottery ticket, they're buying a winning lottery ticket. They're using them to get players who are experienced, know what they're doing, are proven in the NFL. That's not, from what I can tell so far, that's not being what John Lynch's MO has been. Like he takes not risks, but he wants to pick in the drafts. And if you read some of the reports coming out about the Stafford trade, the Niners were interested, but they didn't make an offer. There are 9 teams that were interested in Stafford: the Rams, Niners, Pats, Colts, Jets, Broncos, Bears, football team, and Panthers. So let's say you take those 9 teams who all want quarterbacks, and you lump in the Dolphins on that as well, because there have been another team that have been rumoured to be interested in getting Deshaun Watson. And you do what Griff said, actually. You take out the AFC. So that gets rid of a lot of those players. There's only one team there that I think will actually make sense for Deshaun Watson to go through, and that's the Carolina Panthers.
I've got the Falcons and the Bears on my list as well.
The Falcons came out this evening and said they're sticking with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones.
Absolutely, and they should. But other teams have said this before. But the Falcons and the Bears are on my list with the Panthers. I think the Panthers makes the most sense.
I'm not sure.
Panthers have been clear, haven't they, that they are in for Watson? They've said they're going to be aggressive in getting him. They also have the 8th pick in the draft this year. So even if you are going against the Bears, who surprisingly made the playoffs, you've got the value of having that 8th pick over a pick in the 20s. So I want to think that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are going, do you know what? Let's just do it. Don't think it's going to happen. I think the Niners will be starting with Jimmy G at the end of the year.
because I don't think we're not in a position to get any of the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft, and we won't trade up for one.
I'm not
So
sure
for me,
Jimmy G is your starting quarterback.
I think he is.
Not by a long stretch. Not even if he's on the roster. Do I necessarily think he's your best option? But we keep hearing about the Kirk Cousins thing. That's been a long time coming for Shannon. It's a sideways move for me. It's not
that's a sideways move with more money on a contract.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense anyway. It'd be a real strange move.
I think he's better than Jimmy G.
Is he?
Yeah,
he?
I mean, he's not.
All he is more durable than Jimmy G.
He's not Deshaun Watson.
I'm just hoping we pick up.
The first thing about being better is being on the pitch.
Yeah. I'm hoping we can just pick up Darnold on the cheap.
I think a lot of teams. I'm thinking that I would take Darnold or Trubisky. I'm happy with either of them, because I think they're both way more talented than they've shown so far. But I don't know. I get the feeling with the Niners, you're hearing similar that you've heard about Goff, which is Jimmy G's our quarterback now.
Yeah.
Not Jimmy G's our quarterback this time next year.
Well, they've come out and said he's going to be starting in 2021. The difference is that McVay and Les Snead, after that playoff loss, refused to back Goff. They're like, we're assessing everyone. From the moment they said that, we all said Goff's out of there.
Yeah.
Like, we don't, one way or another, we don't know how or what for, but Goff's days in LA are numbered. Anyway, coming back to Deshaun Watson, Gary, I know you think he's going to be in Texans. I agree with Griff. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form that he is playing on day one with the Texans in 2021.
If he's still on the squad, he ain't playing. He is not turning up. He's not turning up for camp. He's not turning up for Fed. He's doing a. He's
already told them he doesn't need the money, so he's quite happy to pay not to turn up.
Yeah.
Once you start hearing that, it's over.
He's also got some senior players in the dressing room backing him as well, which is which is a real worry for both Nick Caserio, the GM, and what's the coach's name? David Culley.
Who cares?
Cully.
Yeah. This brings me to my next point, which is every year we see half a dozen new coaches, and every year 2 of them are useless, right? And this guy is one of them, because he's now hamstrung by the biggest player in the franchise history is hacked off, JJ Watt, and the most talented player in the franchise history wants out the door before you've started. This guy's done. He's done already. It's over.
Well, JJ Watt they can't afford, really, because he wants his last big contract and they don't want to pay him. So JJ Watt is done in Houston. He will move. And I saw some stats saying that, because obviously Cully was he was the passing coordinator, wasn't he, or offensive coordinator in the Rams,
assistant head coach as well
at the Ravens, and he had one of the worst pass offenses. And somewhere else he's been an offensive coordinator, and they had the worst pass offense in the league. Yeah. He's rubbish. I don't understand how he got the job. Eric Bieniemy
could be picking number one next year. The Texans could easily be the number one pick next year. This could be a disaster, and they're losing fan base left, right, and centre after the Hopkins trade. It was a nightmare for them. But it's just a carousel. They don't seem to be able to get off. They're turning into the Jags and the Jets all thrown into one. It's not good.
Jets and Browns all thrown into one.
Yeah,
Old star
it's not
Browns.
good at all. We wondered who was going to be.
Before Watson, they were the Jags as well. They were bad for a long time.
They were very distinctly average. They only had 2 winning seasons, didn't they, in their history before he got there or something. But
they were okay when they had Matt Schaub.
What?
I'm sorry, did you feel the need to shout in case we were all asleep? Sweet Christ.
I'm defending my favourite Jewish quarterback quite vehemently.
Yeah, you are, with a really deep voice, apparently.
You're very loud, Paul.
Extremely loud.
I'm sorry, I really like Matt Schaub, and I want him to be defended for his time in Texas.
Matt Schaub was excellent, and they got a lot of 8-8 seasons out of Matt Schaub, and they did very well. But the team was awful.
That's fine. As long as we're not making fun of Matt Schaub, I'll go back to silence now. Don't worry about me.
It sounded like you were shouting down a megaphone.
Was pretty loud. But that's stunned us all. Other head coaches that have had pretty poor first impressions.
The fella at the Eagles.
And another one who, you struggle to think of what his name is because he's so meh. He was kind of came out of nowhere. But it is Nick Sirianni. His opening press conference was a car crash, and I think that's the only way I can kind of describe it. And I kind of put the text.
You can go worse than that. It was balls.
I can go worse. I can go worse than that. I just want to be polite. Family show.
Not.
The the ramblings are. I mean, if you watch it, it's brilliant because he's sitting there with a piece of paper and he's kind of trying to read on it. It's like watching my son do his book report.
Your son would be better.
On a Zoom call. And I paraphrase here, but not a lot. So we're going to have a system which is easy to learn, simple but complicated for the opposing offense or defense. A simple coaching system. And at that point, I was just like, Jesus, the Eagles fans, knowing the Eagles fans as we do and loving the Eagles fans as we don't. I'm sure they're all sitting there going, what the hell have we just hired? And I lump the Eagles with the Texans at the moment in terms of those two head coaching jobs were probably the least desirable coaching jobs available just for the mess that those franchises in. Eagles probably slightly over Texans because at least they have got a quarterback who wants to be there, two, in fact. But yeah, that's going to be another car crash of a season.
A car crash with two decent quarterbacks and the 6th overall pick. I'd rather be in that car crash than the one fearing cliff in Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely in a better situation. But his press conference very much reminded me of when Adam Gase turned up and just stared at everybody. Like, just for the record, I was right. Matt Sharp had 2 winning seasons with the Texans out of all these years.
9-7.
He had a 9-7 and a 12-4 in 2013.
Wow.
He was second highest passing yards in the league, I think, that year. He was phenomenal. And then he went back to being balls. So excellent work.
My last memory, of course, the person before Deshaun Watson was, do you remember?
Ryan Hoyer?
TJ Yates.
TJ Yates.
That guy was balls. He was shit.
He won a playoff game, didn't he? TJ Yates.
Yeah, they had Osweiler as well, didn't they?
They did have Osweiler.
Osweiler.
Tom Savage?
They had lots of people. They got through a lot of quarterbacks. Tom Savage, there's somebody who shouldn't ever be brought up on a podcast. He was terrible.
I'll tell you what, it reminds me of that Johnny Depp perfume advert where it just says Savage at the end. And that was after his Amber Heard thing. Makes me laugh every time. Johnny Depp.
You've now brought up a libel case against Johnny Depp.
No. I just said Johnny Depp Savage.
It's an unfortunate name, isn't it?
After digging a hole in the middle of the desert.
If it tells you anything about Tom Savage, he wasn't good enough to get on the Lions squad.
It's hardly a surprise, is it?
But yeah, they were. It was a bad. Sirianni, it looks bad as well. There's still so much money to clear off their wage bill. It's like 50 million. It's 55 million, I think, as they go. But
before we move on from the news, John, I think we should touch on the very sad passing of a national hero in the last 24 hours. Obviously, Screech from Saved by the Bell passed away at short notice. So, send all our love and condolences to that, very sad news.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember...
I don't remember Diamond Dallas Page being in Saved by the Bell, but there you go. Apparently he was.
No, I remember Gary telling me, John, Dustin Diamond, he's released a porno. And you need to watch this because it's the sort of thing I love. And I was like, okay, Gary, because it's you, man. And I know how much you love pornography. And let's go on to some news which brings up the Super Bowl because 2 Chiefs players have been tested positive for COVID-19. So they are now they are out, which is smart of them. Demarcus Robinson and Daniel Kilgore. They haven't tested positive, but they were both. I think haven't they been involved with people who've been having haircuts and stuff like that?
I think it's context protocol, so they're now out of the big game. They're not. It's not huge losses, but you never know what's going to happen on the day. So
yeah, as I say, well, as of course Sunday is, of course, the big game. It is the Super Bowl, and we didn't really mention it last week because we wanted to get into it this week, of course, especially because not all, there's more of us here this week.
You want to get into it now?
Shall we get into it now?
Okay, I'm taking Tampa Bay. There you go.
Ooh,
Me too.
Of course you are.
I can't bet against the GOAT. I've seen it too many times.
So like, it just cannot happen. Otherwise, I'm going to be like one of those American idiots throwing something through my TV. Luckily, I'm probably going to watch it in the bar, and I'll be watching the projector on what is actually a wall, so nothing will happen. but
my nice new window.
But I will have the same feeling. I just can't take it.
If he wins it with Tampa Bay, does that end the arguments for good?
No.
Is he then undeniably the greatest ever?
No, not the greatest.
He's
most
already
successful.
Whatever way.
I didn't say best. I said greatest.
Yeah, you can't deny
most
it.
Successful.
Because that would be phenomenal. I mean, everything tells me that the Chiefs are the slightly better team, but I don't know if it matters. I just think if there's one person that could make them come unstuck, it might be him. I just can't bet against it. I've wondered about it for a couple of weeks now, and I just think I'm going to have to take them. What they did in the championship game as well against a team that I think is better. I think the Green Bay Packers are better than Tampa Bay. Yeah. I really think they are, and they just made them look like amateurs.
Bucks defense are very good.
Yeah, and the Bucks
Brady
very good.
is average at the moment, but he is very good in postseason. If you look at the postseason stats, he's leading offensive player in the postseason again. Yeah. And this is when he's always come to the party, isn't he? He isn't. He never is very rarely MVP of the regular season.
No.
I don't know. I cannot take it. I literally. I am.
What I want to know is which former Steeler has the biggest impact in the Super Bowl? Is it Le'Veon Bell or is it Antonio Brown?
Antonio Brown.
I think Antonio Brown could score a couple of touchdowns in the Super Bowl, and that would be enough.
Well, that's something I wanted a game-changing player from all of you for who to expect. So
I'm taking Antonio Brown.
So
that's where I was going with that. I absolutely think he's going to show up, win the Super Bowl, and we're all going to sit there and go, bugger.
Chris Jones. I think he's going to hurt Brady.
Mm.
And I'm going to love every second of it.
I'd love to see that. Obviously.
Then wish for it as well, John. Just the power, Uri Geller, like the power of us all. If we can just, be in that moment.
What I don't understand is now Brady's not playing for the Patriots. Why do you hate him?
Because it's just his attitude. Like the smug little video on the airport.
With him and Gronk.
He achieved nothing in that championship game. Nothing.
He was bad.
In the second half, he tried to throw the game away. Literally, I think he wanted to retire. Basically, he was that bad. He was that bad, and there he is with Gronk as if he's the boy. It's like fuck off, Tom. So, like, I'm just fed up of watching it. I'm fed up of it.
It hasn't dimmed then, basically.
Not at all. And the Bucks are an annoying team, aren't they? Let's just do what the Patriots did. We'll get a load of players that should be paid more, and we'll just convince them to come for less because you can come play with Tom and his avocado ice cream. I couldn't give a fuck, honestly.
The main thing is you're not jealous.
It's not about jealousy. Like
I'm
just bored of it. I'm just bored of it.
How can you be bored of watching a 57-year-old man try and win a Super Bowl?
Because
just done it too often.
Yeah,
But how many times have you wanted to see the greatest of two eras in the same sport play at the same time? Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback for the next 10 years, and the best quarterback of the last 10 years. We never get this in any sport.
Yeah. I really hope it's a passing of the torch.
How many times did Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus play in competitive tournaments, like where they were both at the top of their game? Once, I think.
Yeah, but that's not a comparison, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods.
But I'm just saying, like, the best of two eras. So in basketball, you'd say Michael Jordan and LeBron James, but there was no crossover, was there?
Him and Kobe played against each other.
Who, sorry?
Kobe and Michael Jordan played against each other.
Kobe was not the greatest player of his era there. He was in that conversation, but he wasn't the greatest player. He's not more outstanding than 3 or 4 other people. Michael Jordan and LeBron James are easily the best too. Look at a lot of sports, you just don't get it. It'd be like Hamilton and Schumacher in Formula One. Like if they both race the same car at the same time, which one's better? Don't get it. I think it's really exciting.
I think the game's exciting. Don't get me wrong. I think that
I agree.
the matchup is exciting to see. Actually,
this is from a Patriots fan who's gutted that we're not in the postseason and didn't want to have to come on here and say I'm supporting Brady because it just sounds ridiculous. But I'd be delighted.
Of course you wanted to come on here and say you were supporting Brady. It's all you've been thinking about for 2 weeks. You've been waiting to come in and tell us how Brady still made the Super Bowl. That's been keeping you going. Don't deny that.
Of course it hasn't. Why would that make me feel better as a Patriots fan?
Because you just love him. You love him more than the Patriots.
I'm the person who came on a year ago and said, I'll drive Tom to wherever he wants to go. We need to move on. And I still believe we were right to move on because you always move on too early rather than too late. But you can't not love this story. You can't not love it.
I do love the story, but let's remember, and this always annoys me when we have this. It's not Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, is it? They're never on the field at the same time. It really bugs me. Back to your original point, John, about game changers. I did pick one. I wrote down Chris Jones. I think Gary's right. I think the big thing about Tom Brady is if you can get pressure up the middle against Tom Brady, he's going to fail. But okay, I went with 2 units, and they're actually the same unit but on different teams. So the defensive backfields for both the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, because both these teams rely pretty much solely on the passing game. Yeah, okay. Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette have had some good opportunities over the last year, and yes, you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the Chiefs, but really both offenses are passing offenses. So when you look at the Chiefs, you've got Tyrann Mathieu, and I think in the playoffs he has been probably the player of the playoffs for me, especially on the defensive side. He's just been immense, and Darren Sorensen, 2 really great safeties, but I think they're lacking at cornerback. The Jarius Sneed has been a rookie quarterback who could quite easily be rookie of the year. I think he was a 6th round pick. He's been playing out of his skin. Tampa, and let's not forget, week 12, first quarter, Bucks versus Kansas City Chiefs. Tyreek Hill absolutely tore the Bucks backfield a new one. So since then, they've massively upped their game. Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting have been responsible for turnovers. Antoine Winfield Jr., I think, has an amazing season as a rookie and he'll go on to have a great career. Those backfields are going to be where the attention is because they need to force turnovers. They've got so many good weapons when you think of Evans, Brown, who you mentioned, Gronk, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, even Sammy Watkins on his, if he has a big day, is going to be a weapon. Those 8 players on that backfield are going to be the most important players on the pitch outside the quarterbacks.
In the Week 12 matchup, they gave up something like 239 yards outside the numbers.
Yeah,
they gave up. I got I wrote the stats here. Mahomes had 462 passing yards, and 269 yards of those went to Hill. Now they've been, but the Bucks did defensive backs. None of them are older than 24. They're kind of like when the 49ers first won the Super Bowl back in the early 80s, where they drafted three players to play in the backfield and brought in Dwight Hicks as well. But they're all really young. That could be a group that could really mould into another kind of Legion of Boom type group. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Todd Bowles' defense and keeping Tyreek Hill quiet. Like if he goes off in the first quarter again, it's game over. Right? It's just not going to happen because you can't see. I can see the Chiefs catching the Bucks. I can't see the Bucks catching the Chiefs.
I can go with that.
And that's why the Chiefs are going to win.
I think that's fair, but I would just say always we've seen Brady come back from behind in other games. You can't tell me that if he was 2 touchdowns behind going into the final quarter, you'd say it's definitely over. You just wouldn't.
I wouldn't say it's definitely over.
That Chiefs defense isn't that good.
Oh, I disagree.
Not the back end. It's really not. They give up deep plays.
I disagree. I think that Chiefs defense is better than what we think it's been.
Well, we'll see. Like I say, I'm just interested to see whether he can do it with another team. I think it'd be.
See, I was expecting you were going to come on, Griff, and say, "Wow, championship game, the Chiefs finally did what I've been asking them to do.
They did.
And blew a team away.
Yeah.
And okay, they've still got what they need. They've just matured. They're going to just manage the Super Bowl performance, professionally. But you've just gone straight back to Brady.
Yeah. Okay. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing.
If
you go back to the podcast at the start of the season, I said I'd pick the Cowboys and the Steelers for Super Bowl. That fell on its ass. And if Brady got all the way, I'd support him in the final. Because I can't be bitter about it. I just think he was brilliant for us, and now he's been brilliant somewhere else. I just think it's brilliant. I don't have a problem with it. So how can you bet against him? Paul, back me up. You said you were backing me up here, and you said nothing.
Matt Schaub led the league in passing yards in 2009.
He's shouting again. What's that all about? You swallowed your microphone.
I just really like Matt Schaub. Is that okay?
It's when you stop. It's when you stop and you start. You're really loud for some reason.
I'm really sorry. I'm that passionate about ex-Houston Texans quarterbacks. I'm going. The reason I'm going for the Buccaneers for this is just purely gut feeling. I can't really give you. I think both teams are very evenly matched. I think the defense for the Bucs is ever so slightly better. You've got some really good young pieces in that defense. The offense, you've got two great running backs. You've got Brady is. We've spoken enough about Brady. He's very talented. He's good enough. You've got probably a far better wideout core, in my opinion, in Tampa Bay than you do in Kansas. It's my gut's telling me the teams are very evenly matched. This could be a very close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I just see the Bucs winning it because I just feel there's more experience in the right areas and more youth in the right areas in terms of their defense keeping their stamina in the right place and their offense being smart enough to adjust to the game. That's why I'm going for Tampa.
One big issue with the Chiefs is both their starting offensive tackles are out, and I think they're down to not their backup, but one behind that. And Mahomes is going to be guarded by Mike Remmers on the left tackle position. Mike Remmers is the tackle that used to play for the Panthers, who absolutely demolished by Von Miller in Super Bowl 50.
It's looking good.
Yeah. So on the flip side, when you look at kind of JPP and Shaq Barrett playing the pass rushers for the Bucs, that would be my one area of concern for the Chiefs, is that I think they'd be better getting to Mahomes on the edge, but I think Mahomes is just so good that I feel like he'll just be able to get the ball out before they actually get to him, no matter how quick they are. And I kind of trust Andy Reid's play scheming more so than Bruce Arians.
If I can bring back a staple of this podcast, there is form for Andy Reid shitting the bed against the Brady-led offense.
Yes, there is. You are right.
I'd like to see Bruce Arians win the Super Bowl. It'd be amazing.
Well. A Bruce Arians Todd Bowles coaching team winning the Super Bowl. Just phenomenal.
What I feel sorry for is the restaurants in Tampa, because they currently got to deal with Bruce Arians and Andy Reid in the same town.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Although Kansas aren't actually flying in until I think Saturday evening, so I think it's the first time that two teams haven't been in the Super Bowl city for the week leading up to the game. Obviously, COVID having an effect even more. Classic COVID.
Well, it's it's. I think it's gonna be. I think they all, they generally are, forgetting the Rams Patriots game, which just
everyone's trying to forget about that Rams Patriots game.
Man,
I thought it was brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, I was going to pick Devin White as a potential difference maker. I think if the Bucs are going to win, he needs to have a huge game, and he's good enough to do it. But just on the other side, it's like how even the best quarterbacks. How often do you get generational talent in a scheme that suits him perfectly, which is what you get with Mahomes. And we should, it's like even like Rodgers, even at his best, he's played in some shoddy schemes, some of the best quarterbacks, they haven't had that perfect match that Mahomes is finding with Andy Reid. So
it's rare, isn't it? I mean, you look at Joe Montana and Bill Walsh. You look at Brett Favre and Mike Holmgren. It's that level of quality that you're getting with both Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like they're just, like, you're right, they're a match made in heaven. It's perfect for each other.
It is. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but I mean, I also want to see Gary crying by the third quarter if the Bucs are winning. So
if the Bucs are winning at halftime, I'm going to eat my Cuban sandwich and go to bed. unless Chase is completely hammered and I can just hear him drinking Jack Daniels in the back, just cursing people.
Yeah, I guess it's something to remember.
The thing I miss most because of COVID is Perry getting drunk at Super Bowl night.
I'm still trying to persuade Kirsty that my bar is technically outside space.
Yeah, mate, she's not letting you have that.
Yeah, I don't think she'll let you have that.
Plus, you live in a village of old people. They'll bust you out. They'll.
I'm going to say they'll all be at risk or something.
Yeah.
We'll be on the news. Super Bowl party in village outside Northampton. Party discovered after man throws chair through wall in disgust at Super Bowl.
I didn't mind the cheering. It was the chance to fuck Brady for 30 minutes that we didn't like.
It was the Cuban sandwich stains on the wall that did it for me.
See, suddenly this Super Bowl could be really entertaining if it's really close and Brady's got a chance to win it. We'd just be watching Gary on Zoom rather than actually watching the game.
Video will be turned off.
I mean, that is something to however you guys are watching it, it almost doesn't count this year because what's the point? Quite frankly,
if Brady wins, it definitely doesn't count this year.
But well, should we go? We might as well just say we've done let's do our predictions now rather than later because I was going to end the show with the predictions. But let's do them now because we might as well. We've basically given you them anyway. So
I've done mine.
Chiefs.
So Tampa. Oh, sorry, what?
I'm going to be the Chiefs.
Yep, Tampa Bay.
Paul's going with Tampa Bay. Bless
yes. You. Thank you.
Chiefs for me.
Chiefs. Do you not want to score, John? I was going to go like 32-28 to the Chiefs. So I was going to go.
Yeah, go on.
Let's have a score. 32-28 to. I don't know. Chiefs by a score. But I'm not going to get more specific than that.
I'll say I'd say Tampa Bay have got to hold the Bucks. The Chiefs to 24 or less. So I'm going to say 24-28 Bucks.
As I say,
I'm going to say the Tampa Bay win.
34-30 to the Chiefs. It's going to be a shootout.
Awesome.
Me and Jim both go with a 4-point win then for the Chiefs.
Okay, I'll go 31-24.
Brady will need a 2-minute drive and he'll throw an interception.
I hope so. I mean, knowing our luck, he'll find Scotty Miller for 90 yards.
He's obviously Tom Brady's going to win it in the last second.
The ball will hit the floor. It'll be a bad call by the refs.
It'll be a throw. It'll be a throw that hits one of the refs.
We'll find out Brady's
and Gronk will catch it.
The ref catches it and runs into the end zone. Spikes it.
The jealousy is phenomenal.
They've got a secret love child. He was banned for cheating. Like, you can say it's jealousy with that. Well, that did happen. You can't deny that.
He was banned for allegedly cheating.
You don't get banned for allegedly doing something.
They never proved that he cheated.
But he cheated.
They found suspicion that he cheated. Yeah, he cheated. He absolutely, of course he did. What do you want me to do?
Donald
Come on,
Trump,
say no, he
Donald
didn't.
Trump
He
might have
absolutely
invited
cheated.
a massive crowd to the Capitol. You know, he might have done. You know,
I love destroying evidence when I'm innocent.
Yeah. It's like
Allegedly destroying evidence.
Defend him. He cheated. He probably got away with it for years. And then they inflated the balls properly, and he went and won the Super Bowl. So whatever, no problem. Like it doesn't matter.
That's my favourite kind of cheating. It's like when
The
Juventus,
blatant, flagrant cheating.
Juventus
No, I like the
used to,
completely
fight the
unnecessary
refs,
cheating.
despite the fact that they were the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
do you know what? I just want him
cheating
to
is my fave.
retire, so we don't have to go round in this bloody merry-go-round year after year after
He's
year.
on about playing until at least 45, Gary. It's for years to come.
Unless he's like sucks the big one, he's here for the next 2 to 3 years.
You what? Sucks the big one.
Basically, we're waiting for a Peyton-style collapse. That's the only way he's going.
If that happened in the Super Bowl, I'd be so happy.
It's possible.
It seems to happen in the second half of the championship game.
And I know you think we just Brady bash, but like the NFL is moving into a completely different. Apart from after that, Roethlisberger and Rodgers, neither of them are miles away from retirement either.
No.
We're heading to a completely new generation, and I think the league needs refreshing because I think people are tired of,
I think you're tired
of that.
You can't dig it up. You're still digging
thing.
into this hole.
We want to see new things, new people doing things in new ways. It's about moving forward as a game.
I'm excited about Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be amazing for years to come. But I don't mind watching Brady win the Super Bowl. I don't mind. That's fine.
So, sorry, Griff, you'll have to be quiet because Gary, all you can hear is Gary scraping the bottom of the barrel of excuses.
Anyway, I'm going to try and come in quieter here.
Should we move on?
If we're looking at moving forward and not the same old stuff every year, I'd like next year for the Chiefs not to be in the Super Bowl.
Bills.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, let's. Should we take a break and we'll come back with our Pro Bowl squads because the fans fucked it up. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the Snap UK. So we've covered the Super Bowl, but of course, at the weekend just gone, it should have been the Super Pro Bowl, but that never happened because of COVID, and apparently flying to Hawaii for a post-season game is probably not that very smart at the moment. But one of the things Jim's been bringing up week after week is just how bad the Pro Bowl squad is. Of course, being picked by fans, effectively. So what we thought we'd do is we'd take a chance and we'd pick our own squads and see if they were any better. So, should we start in the AFC? Start with our quarterback, because I'm going to suggest here Patrick Mahomes might be my favourite. Anyone got any other suggestions?
I have Josh Allen because I think regular season he gave more to his overall team's performance than Mahomes this year.
I'm going to agree with Gary. I have put him ahead of Mahomes and said that actually in the regular season he was probably the better quarterback.
I don't dislike that. I'm a huge Josh Allen fan, so we can have Patrick Mahomes in backup. Jim, where did you go?
I went with Mahomes because Josh Allen wasn't the better quarterback throughout the season. I thought Josh Allen was great, but he wasn't statistically. Anyway, threw less yards, threw more interceptions, took more sacks, and played one extra game.
Ran for more touchdowns.
He did run for a lot of touchdowns. Yep, he definitely did do that when Patrick Mahomes tried to run.
So he wasn't the better quarterback in the statistics you chose.
No.
Yeah. One less games.
What do you think, Paul? Going to yell at us with an opinion?
Matt Sharp.
I think Josh Allen ahead of Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, excellent work.
We have a majority then, and I don't dislike. I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Running back, can anyone give me anything other than Derrick Henry?
No.
I mean, we're only picking one. I mean, I know in the Pro Bowl they have like 4 running backs.
Too many is the answer. They need to never bring the Pro Bowl back after this season.
Yeah, no.
Award it by all means. Tell these players you were the best players of the season, but don't have a Pro Bowl. No one cares.
I like the challenges. Just have the
call them the All Stars.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
and don't split it between NFC and AFC. Just have the best players there.
Yep. No,
anyway.
I'm a big fan. I just want to see, the wacky, it's a knockout style challenges. So, did anyone pick a fullback?
No.
Of course we did. Who cares? Wide receivers.
Hill and Diggs.
Yes.
Hill and Diggs is what I've got.
Yeah, same here.
I've got Diggs and Robinson.
Allen Robinson plays in the NFC.
Oh yes, they're fucking right, didn't he?
So what you've got is Hill and Diggs then.
I've got Hill and Diggs. Yeah, I was. Yeah. It's late.
When I was looking through this, hang on, just when I was looking through the stats, the wide receiver with the 3rd most yards in the AFC. Anyone want to take a guess? Wide receiver.
The
new guy at the Jags.
No.
Hang on.
No.
I'll be amazed if you get it because it surprised me.
Was it at the Raiders?
Nope. Darren Waller had more yards than this player, but he's a tight end.
Yeah. Okay. No, then I can't remember. Go on.
But not Snapple.
It's Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
Of course,
yeah.
Brandon Cooks had 1,150 yards.
Well, he had an excellent season.
On 10 plays.
Yeah. How many concussions? No concussions.
No concussions. 15 games played. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Surprised me. Where are we?
Tight end.
Tight end.
Kelsey.
Another easy one, isn't it? Kelsey.
Yeah. It's.
They don't need to overcomplicate the Pro Bowl. If you can look at it and 5 blokes on a podcast can effectively agree this guy was the best, then that's who it should be.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't need VAR in soccer. You could just go to any random pub and ask the fans at the bar, is it offside or not, and just go with the majority decision. That's it. Easy.
I think that'd be much better and quicker.
You have to give.
Had a great year.
You have to give Darren Waller a shout out.
I did actually put Darren Waller in as give him a nod.
Yeah, no, he's been brilliant. Okay, kicker.
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker.
Always Justin Tucker.
Always Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
Although, if you're giving shout-outs, Harrison Butler has been phenomenal. Yeah. And the guy at the Bills, Tyler Bass, was brilliant this season. So if I'd actually got to pick one to kick for my life today, I'd probably take the Bills kicker because Tucker ended his season with 2 misses in the playoff game. So I'll take Tyler Bass, but Tucker's always going to get the nod until he falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
Can't look beyond Tucker.
Yeah. No. I mean, I know the Pro Bowl picks a punter, but literally,
don't need to pick a punter.
No. So let's O-line. We said we'd do O-lines by unit because we don't want to get
Colts.
into.
I went with Browns.
I also went with the Colts as well.
Colts it is then.
I went with the Colts.
I ignored statistics here because the Steelers only gave up 14 sacks for the whole season, which actually topped. So,
They were bad in the running game.
They were bad in the running game.
Holes in the running game.
Yeah, which is my point where the Colts actually had a running game.
And that's why I took the Browns, because their run blocking was phenomenal this season.
It was, yeah.
No, anyway, good shout. But
also, you do have to mention the Titans of run blocking, surely.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think not all the time he needs it. So we move on to defense. So we've gone with 2 defensive ends and 2 defensive tackles. So
2 defensive tackles and 2 edge rushers.
Okay, 2 edge rushers. Okay.
Yeah, Jim confused me with all this. So I've picked 4. I've picked 4 people. So I'm just like, you put them wherever you want.
Yeah.
JJ Watt, DeForest Buckner, Joey Bosa, and Myles Garrett.
Okay. I have DeForest Buckner and Garrett. I have Justin Houston and Cameron Hayward. I would have had Bud Dupree if he'd have lasted the season, but he didn't. But he was He was astonishing until he got injured.
Neither of you got TJ Watt.
I've got him.
I've got TJ.
I've got him as a linebacker.
I've got him a linebacker.
Yeah, I've got him as a linebacker as well, if I'm honest.
He's an outside linebacker, so I put him as an edge rusher along with Myles Garrett, and then I went with 2 D tackles, DeForest Buckner and Chris Jones.
I had exactly the same as Jim.
I went with Calais Campbell.
Of course you did, Paul.
And I had
all of
Garrett
about
Bosa.
5 seconds ago.
Yeah,
They're good selections. I agree with them.
I went with Houston over Bosa, but I don't know why. Just
somebody's going to have to actually write this down. Seeing as you're hosting, John, you better pick which ones you want out, because there's not much of a consensus there, actually.
Well, Buckner gets in, Garrett gets in. I'm not having TJ Watt because I've got him as a linebacker. A couple of us have got him as linebackers.
Yeah, me too.
So, pick right.
We've had the TJ Watt thing before.
We have.
That's why I changed it to edge rusher.
And there, so yeah, we'll have. Who else? Who did you have?
Not have
Michael?
Chris Jones. You can't not have Chris Jones.
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
I will have Joey Bosa because a couple of people picked Joey
I had
Bosa.
Joey Bosa. Yeah.
Okay, linebackers.
TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. Darius Leonard.
And Darius Leonard, yeah.
I went with Darius Leonard, and I went with 2 inside linebackers, and I want to call out that most of the time the Pro Bowl is formed out of teams that win because they tend to be the better players. But my other inside linebacker is Joe Schubert of the Jaguars. 141 solo tackles and 3 interceptions during the year. Those are phenomenal stats.
I'm assuming now you've got 3 kids. You don't spend much time with your wife, and you have all this time to spend looking at inside linebacker stats.
Mate, it's lockdown. I have nothing to do.
Fair enough. I'm surprised you haven't got another one on the way, by the way. Like with all this lockdown going on.
Hence the switching to the dog.
I had TJ Watt, and I didn't get around to filling the other slot, so it's up to you guys.
So who did you have? So did you have anyone, Paul?
I've already given you my selections.
Well, let's go with TJ Watt and Darius Leonard then as actual linebackers. So cornerbacks.
Xavier Howard and Malcolm Butler.
I went with Xavier Howard. I don't think you can not have him, but I went with Gilmore because I think he was the only Pro Bowler on the Patriots. So
Gilmore? I went with Xavier Howard and JC Jackson.
I think Gilmore's a better player, but yes, fine.
I thought Jackson had a better season, which is what the Pro Bowl's about.
True.
I went with Xavier Howard and Tre'Davious White.
Paul?
I've also gone with Howard and Trey White.
Way, so it is Howard and Trey White.
Fair enough then.
Safeties.
Minkah Fitzpatrick.
And Honey Badger.
And Honey Badger, yeah, that's who I've gone for. Minkah Fitzpatrick.
I didn't go with Minkah.
Same as Griff, I did.
I went with Justin Simmons.
I went with Honey Badger and Jordan Poyer from the Bills. It was a great year.
He was very good, yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. I can't see past Fitzpatrick for that position. He was easily the best safety this season.
Well, that's who we're going to go with. So not actually a huge amount of change from the actual Pro Bowl squad, but the AFC isn't the issue really. It's NFC. So NFC, start again. So quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Because
he was. Yep.
I'd be amazed if we haven't all taken the same running back as well. It's got to be Dalvin Cook, right?
Yep.
I've put Dalvin Cook. Yes.
Paul?
I have also put Dalvin Cook, yes.
Do you want to show us your notes, Paul?
They're there.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Let me show you. Let me show you my notes.
Writing a massive Dalvin Cook
on a podcast. It's just going to be a picture of Matt Sharp. We all know
she's going to be on YouTube.
I don't want to spoil it for you, but I mean, anytime.
You're still figuring out how to spell Sharp.
Hey, excellent work.
Excellent, yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, wide receivers.
I went for Adams and Metcalf, and I know I'm going to get abused for the Metcalf thing. But...
Yeah.
Metcalf's a great shout. I went with Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson. Well, Jefferson was phenomenal this season.
You had Jefferson, Hopkins, and Metcalf. It's one of those 3.
Yeah. Adams was the best wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I went with Adams and Hopkins.
Adams and Hopkins.
Okay. I'm really
So
hoping that we haven't made the mistake that the NFL actually made by putting Evan Ingram in at tight end. Because if we had,
No.
we're sacked from the podcast.
Oh,
We
yeah.
should all have Robert Tonyan.
Yes.
Hawkinson.
I have Hawkinson.
Oh, you're both sacked. Oh, it's
They
Robert
were
Tonyan.
very,
is the correct
Very
answer.
odd. Who
very
had the most
close
yards?
stats wise. Yeah, more catches, Hawkinson as well.
Playing
Robert
first
Tonyan caught
quarterback.
94% of his targets
I get
Tonyan
that. And
the
I get
best
that.
and
Right.
11 touchdowns.
I get that, but Hawkinson played very, very well this year.
In a
He
shit
did.
team.
Second year in a bad team, he was a highlight for Detroit.
Yeah, that's yeah.
He
I
was.
mean,
He had a much better
Perfect.
season this year than he did last year.
Okay. O-line.
Who did you
Tampa
pick, Tom?
Bay.
There was 2 and 2 votes there. Who did you pick?
Oh, we're waiting for Paul.
Oh,
to
wait
throw
for
in
Paul.
10
Hawkinson or
pence.
Tonyan.
So we're looking for a tight end from the NFC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like Gronk.
You're a moron. We're going with Tonyan. And I'm taking the Tampa Bay O-line. I thought it was brilliant this season. Actually got something out of Ronald Jones in the run game. Kept Brady upright in the passing game. I thought they were excellent.
I had the Saints.
Packers.
Oh, 2 Packers. Paul?
I'm going to go with the Bucks as well. I thought they were fantastic.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
He's done it again.
Well, I'm going to choose the Packers out of
Yeah,
those
okay.
two.
There we go.
That's fair. That's fair.
The
We'll
Bucks,
take
like,
that.
I don't want anyone to make Brady
It's
stand
almost
up.
like Paul didn't do any research and he's just picking whatever the last person said.
Can we do fullbacks in the NFC though? The juice, yeah. Just chuck the
obviously.
juice in.
No, because as a position, it is a pointless one.
It is redundant.
Kicker.
Well,
Robbie Gould.
there's a few to choose from, but I actually think the fans got this right. I think Younghoe Koo of the Falcons was the best kicker in the NFC.
He was. To me.
It was brilliant this year. Fair play.
I mean, if we, I don't know, we've done it a couple of times before. If we pick each team's MVP for the year,
Yeah.
you get to the Falcons, who are, it's Ridley.
You see
or
Calvin
Younghoe
Ridley
Koo.
had a great season.
Yeah,
or whoever it was who finally decided to sack Dan Quinn should probably be their MVP of the season. But I think Younghoe Koo is the best kicker in the NFC.
I thought Greg Zuerlein had a good year for Dallas in a crap Dallas team.
Yeah, that's true.
Paul.
He'll take Younghoe Koo. He loves him.
He'll go with Zuerlein. That's the last thing said.
Korean.
No, it's the Korean Metal for me. He has genuinely been fantastic. He really has.
Yeah. We don't count punter. So, your defensive line, however you want to put it.
So everyone except Jim gets to pick because Jim will have gone different to the rest of us.
So
Aaron Donald's in it, right?
it's Aaron Donald plus 3.
Right.
Trey Hendrickson from the
Yes.
Saints.
Got that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Great year. I went with Leonard Williams.
I also went Leonard Williams.
Chase Young.
Really good year.
Chase Young.
Chase
I
Young.
went with Zadarius Smith from the Packers as my other edge rusher.
I was tempted
Well, I
to
had
go
him
with
as a
Chase Young
linebacker.
and Montez Sweat from the Washington football team. I thought they were brilliant together.
Chase
Yeah.
Young's got to be in there.
Yeah, I don't mind how you want to divide that up, but he has to be in there, surely.
Chase Young is in there. We've got 2 for Leonard Williams. We've obviously got Aaron Donald.
Nobody for Khalil Mack.
No.
No.
I
Was he-
didn't have him. I'm just putting it
Was
out
he
there.
that good this year?
I don't think he was
No.
amazing.
End of the year, all right, but yeah, most of the season it was a bit of a
I'm just putting it out there.
average superstar.
He technically can go at linebacker as well. So
Brandon Graham was really good, but I sometimes think he takes a week off every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Graham as well wasn't as good as Cox.
Cox was another good shout.
He's had a productive year in an abysmal
Terrible team.
toilet of a team. I mean, quite frankly, they'd be where they'd be without him. I do not know. So Chase Young, Leonard Williams, Aaron Donald. As I say here,
Trey Hendrickson as well.
Trey Hendrickson.
I mean, you've got to have him, and he's had a brilliant season.
Why not?
And he was one of the players left off of the original Pro Bowl roster.
Yeah. No,
It's
that's
crazy.
cool with me. Okay,
This is
linebackers.
where it gets interesting. So Devin White wasn't picked for the Pro Bowl, which is insane.
Yeah.
So
He's-
Devin White has to be one of them. I actually like the shout of Jason Pierre-Paul that they took. I thought he had a really good year this year.
He's an edge rusher.
With him and
He's a linebacker.
Fred Warner. I
He's
thought
an edge rusher.
Fred Warner was brilliant. He's
I've got Fred
contracted
Warner
as a
as well.
linebacker.
Yeah, Fred Warner and Devin White are my two inside linebackers.
I have the same as Jim. And although Jim has made up a position of edge rusher that doesn't actually exist in anywhere other than college grades, it's never actually on any of the defensive stats.
It's an edge rusher. It just depends on what scheme you're playing, doesn't it? If you're playing 3-4, you use an outside linebacker.
Just makes it very hard to find
4-3,
the
you play
stats.
defensive end, yeah. So
When your wife can't sleep, does she just ask you for some information and then drop off when you start dividing it up into categories?
No, because she's drifting off to sleep and she's like, no, fucking Zadarius Smith's a linebacker, you dick.
Everyone knows that, Jim.
Everyone knows that. Come on.
Look at the depth chart and see where edge rusher exists.
Anyway, moving on.
I've got Fred Warner and Zadarius Smith, but Devin White should be in there. So, yeah, let's go with Fred Warner and Devin White. Cornerbacks.
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey, yeah.
And Jair Alexander.
That's what I've got.
I went with another Giant. Christ, I've got two Giants on my team. James Bradbury.
Bradbury was very good.
I thought he might be the best player on the Giants team, and I'd be very pleased to see him make the Pro Bowl, yes.
Yeah, he was like, I've never seen DK Metcalf have such a quiet game as against
Jair Alexander was brilliant this year.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Not denying that. He had a very good season, but I thought Bradbury was brilliant as well.
Cool.
I'm a big James Bradbury fan, but you can't deny Ramsey and you can't deny Alexander. They are some of the. If you take away the conferences, they're still some of the best in the league.
Yeah, it's true.
Safeties.
Buda Baker, and I went Jeremy Chin, the rookie. The Panthers.
I had Smith and Diggs.
I had Chin and
Quandary Diggs played well.
Mm-hmm. I had Chin and Adams.
And I had Chin and Buda Baker.
Adams was just pass rusher. He was a terrible safety.
Yeah, great, isn't it?
I didn't pick him because, his pass defense is terrible, frankly.
Yeah.
It's not very good. He can't cover a man. He just runs around until he gets to the ball. It does work for him. Like, he was very impactful, but he's not really a safety. He's just a random bloke you throw on the field.
It's the same with Minka Fitzpatrick. His coverage isn't great. He just...
I don't know about that.
He makes a lot of interceptions.
He's a better player.
Doesn't do a lot much other than that.
He's
great. He works in their scheme, but
Fitzpatrick seems to end up in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, Jamal Adams
doesn't
do that.
Jamal Adams doesn't do that. He's a great defensive player. I think he's more of a linebacker than he is a safety, really.
I think he's more inside or outside linebacker, Jim.
Yeah, it'd be an inside linebacker.
I mean, he makes a lot of sacks for could he technically be an edge rusher?
He could technically be an edge rusher, yeah. You could rush him off the edge.
I mean, that is
safety blitz would be
a proper
perfect for him.
Player. But yeah, I picked Adams just because I'm not gonna lie, it was late when I did this, and I just wanted to go to bed.
How I feel now.
So we'll have Buda Baker and a couple of us had Chin. Paul, who did you have for safeties?
I had Baker and Chin.
Thank you.
Of course you did.
We'll call that a day. And it's nice to see we haven't picked Evan Ingram. That's it. Just no, thank you.
He's a talented player, but he just doesn't play that much.
Well, even when he does, he doesn't catch that much. And that's possibly the issue in a game of catch. As it is.
I know you're going to close this, so by all means, are you confident that Daniel Jones is the quarterback starting at the Giants next season?
I'm not confident in it, but I think he is. The thing is,
I haven't heard them mentioned in any of the talk. They're about the only team that haven't been linked to another quarterback.
I think the thing that you're forgetting with this, as a Giants fan, you can't be confident.
No, fair enough.
There's going to be a lot of movement. There's a lot of potential movement this year, and for some reason, I just don't see us getting involved. I don't think we've got cap space as well to do it. I think we have to build our team through draft, especially because I think what I'd like to see is Leonard Williams get a big deal rather than going after a high-profile quarterback.
How about a high-profile wide receiver? Bring in like Allen Robinson or something like that.
I'd love Allen Robinson.
Golladay or...
There's quite a few available.
There is.
Godwin. Chris Godwin.
Yep.
But I think he's good in the slot. I'd rather have someone who can stretch a field stretcher. Calm down. We're not talking about Jim's dog now.
In a number of mock drafts, I've seen Jalen Waddle from Alabama kind of mocked to the Giants, and that's like he's going to run probably 4.2 something in the 40. I think that's literally the perfect player for that Giants offense.
I would love someone like that. A proper field stretcher would be brilliant. I think just what we need. And it would help. It would help our quarterback because he's got an arm on him. It's just
that's kind of a prerequisite in having arms. It's about the best thing you can say about him.
Well, for 75 yards, he runs beautifully.
Let's never forget that, by the way. When we do our highlights of the season, that might be number one because that was hilarious, watching him tackle himself.
That whole play might be up there with the butt fumble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's never going to be able to live it down, quite frankly. But yeah.
That ruined Sanchez. There's a good chance. Jones did have a run later on in the year, didn't he? Where he did actually score a touchdown, so that might redeem him.
He's a half decent runner. It's just unfortunately that side was only half decent.
The other half was terrible.
How many people go into the Hall of Fame? Because that'll be announced next week, won't it?
It will be. I believe it's either 5 or 6.
Just thought I'd bring that up very briefly.
Thank
Not
you.
that I have any more to add to it, but I just thought it'd be interesting to know. Will John Lynch finally get there?
No.
Probably not. No, what is it? Is it Peyton Manning this year, isn't it? Yeah.
Peyton Manning plus others.
Peyton, Calvin Johnson's there, Charles Woodston's there. A few other players that might get in. Jared Allen's another first time on the list.
Yeah.
John Lynch is there.
Clay Matthews,
Tony Baselli has been on the list quite a few times. Good tackle for the Jaguars, so he's got a really good chance of getting in there finally. So I don't know. I think it's a probably going to be a stretch for John Lynch this year because you're definitely putting in Peyton Manning, and I would be surprised if Charles Woodson doesn't get in first time asking.
Of course he will. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, we'll discuss that when it's announced. We'll come back next week and discuss the Super Bowl.
We might not all be here though, because Gary might be replastering his wall.
If he wins, I've got nothing to say on the matter.
Well, we need you next week because it's of course end of the season. We'll be determining our MVPs for the year. So. If you can just come in for the second half, then at least. But yeah, I hope whatever you're doing, you enjoy the big game on Sunday. And
I've got Monday booked off if you're in the UK.
Yeah. Or
I'm
actually off.
I'm off from tomorrow, like prepping.
What for?
Solidifying the wall.
I'm going to make some seafood enchiladas for my Cuban Tampa Bay influence, but yeah, I'm off for like 6 days.
All right, for some
prep on my own.
Yeah. Well, however you're watching it, it's on BBC and Sky One as well, so you don't need Sky Sports. But however you want to watch it, I hope you have fun, and we'll see you on next Tuesday to discuss the big game. Until then, goodbye.